This week has been a really hard week for the Pokemon YouTuber community because not only one or two, but four members of the community have been accused and proven to have done some really inappropriate things over direct messages and other things like that. Now, one of these Pokemon YouTubers who does more Nintendo content than I would call him a Pokemon YouTuber, but his name is Mizumi, and he does a lot of modding and data mine and things like that, and I've been at least acquaintances with him for over a year, and I've gotten somewhat close to him, and it really does hurt me, the fact that I found out some of this information from him. Before I talk about the whole situation and give my 2 cents, I just want to read off the article from Kotaku, so here we go. Fourth YouTuber facing allegations is Mizumi, a YouTuber known for modding Nintendo games, and he had amassed a following of 20,000 subscribers before alleged victims went public over the weekend with their experiences with him. Tori, who is 18, says she was 14 when she began speaking to Mizumi. Had I not done what he wanted, he had the ability to ruin my social life, which he did anyways. So those are some pretty serious allegations, and thankfully Kotaku did reach out to Mizumi and got his response, so let's read that now. Over email, Mizumi did not deny these allegations. This isn't entirely my fault. The line is grayer than what everyone thinks, and everyone here is a victim in one way or the other, he said. Don't get me wrong, I am remorseful and I apologize personally to each of the people I've hurt, but the way the public views this situation and the way it truly is are completely different. That's all I will say on this situation. Kotaku also shows that Tori has some evidence of Billy admitting to what he had done explicitly. So basically I asked Tori out and she said no, then Luke did and she said yes. Months later, Tori, Luke, and I were Skyping one night. Luke went to bed and then Tori and I were still up. Basically we started flirting and one thing led to another. After it happened I felt bad and I wanted to tell Luke because I felt bad, but Tori didn't want to. Then I convinced her and she did, and that's that. After addressing the allegations from him in an email to Kotaku, Mizumi sent another email a couple minutes later. Also, if you do mention me in your article, don't forget to include a link to my YouTube channel. Thanks again. Happy face, period. And that last line really rubbed people the wrong way, because why would you want to use this situation as a chance to further your channel, as a chance to get a few more subscribers and things like that? And I really think that the only other reason he would do that is to show the fact that if you go on his channel right now, all of his videos have been privatized. All of his videos, his most popular ones, his least popular ones, like every single video, if you go to his channel, it says this channel has no content. And I don't think he deleted them all, right? I don't know if there's a way you could tell if it's a deleted video or a privated video, or if it just says the same thing, but from what I can tell, he privated his videos, and maybe he just wants to show that he's actually done doing everything that he's been doing. He realizes that this is a very bad choice that he made, and he's having to live with the consequences right now. So there's 3 quick things I want to talk about, and the first is that every story has 2 sides. As you can tell, the story that Tori had been sharing is not something that Mizumi was agreeing to. He said that the way that people are seeing the situation isn't the whole truth. He said that there's a gray area and that there are things that he can't explain. But the thing is, he had the chance to explain them there. He could have gone into depth for Kotaku, and he chose not to. So even though there are 2 sides to a story, the one side that was able to give a ton of evidence and screenshots is Tori's. And so, although the truth might be somewhere in the middle, we really have to trust what we've been given and the sources that we have. And the fact that Mizumi was reached out to and Billy did give an answer, it just doesn't cut it for a lot of people. Before we go believing all these allegations, it is good to look at all the sources. And so the fact that we can say we have looked and we've given Mizumi a chance to explain himself does let us rest assured that the allegations are probably 100% true. The second point I want to make is that just because someone is a YouTuber and they have a great following doesn't mean we should turn them into some godlike person. From a viewer's perspective, we look up to YouTubers that we love and we adore them and we think that they're these perfect people, but the fact of the matter is every single person has a past. Some people, unfortunately, have chosen to mess around with people who are younger than themselves or people at all that did not consent to do these things and pressured them into these situations. And when we find out that someone has done that, it's the last thing on our mind, right? We're just so heartbroken because we hold these people to such a high standard. Does that excuse the behavior of Mizumi or these other Pokemon YouTubers or anyone? Of course it doesn't. But before we start thinking that they're the worst people ever and they're just the most horrible people on this earth, you know, we got to look in the mirror too and know that, hey, people change a lot in 4 years. Tori mentioned that they started talking when she was 14 years old. Now she's 18, right? So in that time, in 4 years, people do change a lot. Mizumi didn't really seem very sad for what he did. I've definitely seen a lot better of apologies from people and explaining their situations. But the fact that he said that he did reach out to Tori and did reach out to the other people and apologize at least tells me that he knows what he did was wrong. Now, this is a really crazy time we live in because everyone is just one direct message away, right? It's not like the past where you had to have someone's telephone number to be able to contact them. And because of that, since people are easier to reach, they're able to exploit that relationship. And if you're a young person, if you're under the age of 18, do yourself a favor and don't be messaging these YouTubers, because you have to be able to see that, you know what, yes, they're creating amazing content, yes, they're really, really cool people, but they're just people. We shouldn't be holding them to this pedestal that they're these incredible, amazing people, and if I can just get to talk to them, or if I can show them XYZ about myself, then they'll fall in love with me. And you know, it's a really sad thing. And at the same time, if you are a YouTuber with any kind of presence or power, you need to be more responsible, and you really, really have to set yourself up so that someday no one's going to dig up really bad messages and really bad things that you've sent to someone else. Although I wish there was a way for children and teenagers to just not reach out to adult YouTubers, that's just not going to happen. It really is ultimately the adult's responsibility to make good choices and to not seek out inappropriate things, and especially not to threaten to hurt themselves if someone doesn't comply. Your happiness shouldn't depend on someone else doing something for you, right? Especially if this is not someone that you're in a consensual relationship with, especially if this is not someone that you know in real life and that you have a physical friendship or relationship with them. A lot of these things are red flags, right? And if you're ever in a situation where someone's telling you that they are going to do something wrong to themselves if you don't comply, it is not up to you. I was in a relationship once for 4 years where when I was ending it with my girlfriend at the time, she told me that she was not going to live in a world without me. She used similar words to that. I'll let you imagine what she said. And at first I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I just need to stay with her forever because she doesn't want to live without me. And then it snapped in my head and I said, no, that's ridiculous. Someone's happiness should not depend on someone else being forced to be in a relationship with them, or be forced to send pictures they don't want to send, or be forced to do anything. Consent is about people agreeing to one another. And in the year 2019, it's more important than ever. But that being said, in the past, people acted a little bit differently, right? And when we were younger, we make dumb decisions and bad mistakes. So my immediate advice is look at yourself, look at your immediate past, and if you know some instances where you made some bad choices, correct those now. Apologize for those things, make those corrections right now before someone exposes you, and then it just makes everything so much more worse. Everyone has mistakes. Don't hope that these aren't going to come out someday, because the bigger you get and the more chances that someone else in a similar light, right? Why are all these Pokemon YouTubers happening right now? It's because it's a domino effect, right? And if you've done something wrong, you can guarantee that someone is going to find out and expose it. So don't try and cover it up. Don't try and move on. Just fix that mistake as quickly as you can. And the last thing I want to say today is, when we find out that someone in our community or someone outside of our community has made a huge mistake, just like Mizumi, is it the right choice to completely cut them off and ostracize them and make them the worst villain in the world? I don't think so. I think that Billy made a big mistake. I think that Billy at least did the right thing in answering some questions and giving the best response he could. I don't think he should get off scotch-free. I don't think anyone should, right? We need to be held responsible for our actions. However, it doesn't need to be that he needs to, have a destroyed career for the rest of his life and that he needs to just go away forever and just, go die in a hole. Like, I think it's a better and more beautiful thing if Mizumi can come back now and say, you know what, I did mess up. Although I can make excuses and say that, hey, you don't know the whole story, that you don't know this and that. I think a better decision for Mizumi to make now is to say, yeah, you know what, y'all don't know the whole story, but I'm not going to worry about that. I can only talk about my actions. My actions were wrong, my actions were incorrect, and I made a mistake. I'm going to work to improve and help others who might be in a similar situation that I put these girls in when they were younger. I think Mizumi can do a lot of good with the situation he's in. Even though it's a terrible situation, I think he can learn from it, and I think that we can accept him as a community member once again. I don't think that we need to completely think he's the worst person ever in the whole world, even though he made these mistakes.